You've tuned into Radio Northern Beaches. We live stream on rnb.org.au across the northern beaches of New South Wales, Australia and all over the world. You can also catch us local on 88.7 and 90.3 FM. Our podcasts are available at your convenience at rnb.org.au or rnbpodcast.com. So you and your friends don't miss any episodes. Don't forget to follow and share. Now here's our latest podcast.
Hello and welcome. I'm Caryn Shipp and this is Spin the Globe on Radio Northern Beaches. Today's program is called Romantic Italy by Land and Sea, by the way. And I have a very special guest in the studio, Henry Jennings. Hi, Henry.
Hi, Caryn.
Yeah, I will get back to Henry in a second. Look, Henry's lived a life as rich and as varied as the landscape itself. So join us today for today's program as he shares his tales of adventure from the rolling hills of Tuscany to the sparkling waters of the Amalfi Coast, and even life aboard a 65-foot yacht. I can't wait to hear that. This is Romantic Italy, stories from land and sea. Now, from the stages of Shakespearean theatre to the high seas of Italy. Our guest today is a man of many talents, a seasoned traveller, a Shakespearean actor, he's a lead singer in a band, and he's currently the finance reporter for the ABC. Live in studio, welcome to Radio Northern Beaches, Henry Jennings.
Thank you very much for having me.
Wow, it's a pleasure. Henry, you're originally from the UK. We can hear that in your accent there, even with a hi.
Yeah.
Whereabouts did you come from?
I'm originally from London, and it's a long time ago now since I came to these shores. 36 years this year. So I've spent more time in Australia, more time in Sydney than I have in London. But as they say, you can't take the boy out of London and the accent out of the UK either. So my friends in the UK always say that I sound very Aussie, and when I'm here, obviously, people say you've obviously still got that English twang. So
you've got a beautiful, rounded English twang, beautifully rounded.
Well, I guess that's what an expensive education does for you. Thank you, Mum and Dad.
Yes, that's right. But 36 years, we'll claim you as an Aussie.
Yeah, well, I've got the passport and everything, so
yeah,
yes.
Yeah, good. You've travelled to some amazing locations around the world, and particularly European destinations for our story today. Where are some of your favourite locations in Italy?
Well, I have spent a fair amount of time in Italy. My wife Jane has been learning Italian, which kind of helps as well with the language. And it's an amazing country. And what I regret when I was younger, when I was growing up in the UK, flights were so expensive.
Is that funny how cheap they've become?
They've become very cheap until you start putting luggage on, of course, which kind of changes the equation. But when I was growing up, the flights were very expensive, so you didn't get to travel very much. I mean, I confined myself to the 2 weeks in the Greek islands or somewhere cheap like Spain when I was, in my 20s in the UK. So I didn't really discover Italy till, I guess, very late in life, and have come to appreciate it. So I've been, I'd say, 6 or 7 times now to Italy, and this year we're looking at potentially going yet again.
Yes.
And it's always been combined, I guess, with a trip back to the UK to see family.
Yep.
And some Spanish excursions as well. My brother has a house in Spain, so we spend a little bit of time with him in Spain sometimes, and he's come to Italy with us as well. So we've done, I guess, a fair amount of Italy, to be honest, and it's such a beautiful, chaotic country, and I think that the chaos is great. It's certainly a big appeal. It's kind of organised chaos. It kind of works. They're very laid back about things. Things do get done. It's the Spanish are very laid back as well. There's always the mañana, but Italy they seem to get things done as well as being laid back, and the countryside is beautiful.
Yes,
and
yes.
To some extent, it has been some of our travels do end up being James Bond-like pilgrimages, I have to say. So,
oh, I love that. Is that sort of the fancy car? And
it's not so much the fancy car, it's more the locations.
Oh, yes.
And one trip recently we made back, they were just filming the last James Bond film, No Time to Die, and they were filming it in Matera, which is down the southern part of Italy. And so I decided it'd be a great thing to do, to go there and watch them filming. Unfortunately, we arrived a week after they'd finished filming, but it was still lovely to go there, and we've been to the lakes as well, where they have set many Bond scenes as well. So although we haven't had the fancy cars, although...
Lake Como? Which lake are we talking?
Garda.
Lake Garda.
Yeah,
right.
around Limone, there's some beautiful... Limone is stunning. We've been there twice, to the same hotel, actually, on the lake there, which is just stunning. Como's beautiful, obviously.
Yes.
But Garda's just a little bit quieter and, to be honest, a little bit cheaper as well. You're not paying the kind of George Clooney prices. But, Lake Garda is stunning. So we've spent a little bit of time there. As I say, it's rare that we go back to the same place twice.
Yes.
But with Garda and Tuscany as well, we kind of make that exception.
I was going to ask you about Tuscany. Can you tell us about Tuscany? What do you love about the place?
It would be easy to say the food. It would be easy to say the culture. But I think what stands out for me always is just the light, just the soft light, especially first thing in the mornings and last thing at night. I mean, just some of those views over the Tuscan countryside are just stunning. And being English as well, we have a very different light to Australia. Australia is very sharp and almost pinprick light. It's like watching your telly on 4K, whereas England is old-fashioned, the big box in the corner kind of light. The same with Tuscany as well. It's that soft light, I think, which really sets the tone for the countryside. The food, obviously, it is a big draw card, and just the the roads, the way of life, the villas. It's just. It's beautiful. We were down actually in southern Italy and weren't as big a fan of Puglia as we were of Tuscany.
Tuscany, yes.
And I turned to my wife and said, you know what? We've got a couple of days left in our holiday. Why don't we just go back to Tuscany? So she said, well, it's a fair drive. I said, well, it's only about 7 hours. I like driving as well.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, we're from Australia. Anywhere,
well, that's exactly
drive,
right. When people in England, if they drive an hour, they think it's a long journey.
Yes, I've heard that. Yeah.
Whereas, we're happy to drive 6 or 7 hours, and I'm happy to drive 6 or 7 hours. And so we just jumped in the car and said, okay, let's go back to Tuscany, and we just motored up the freeway back to Tuscany, and it is beautiful. As I say, it to me, it's those mornings and evenings where that light is so soft, and you see these beautiful vistas.
Yes. Speaking of light, because I did spend some time in south of Spain, and it didn't get dark till about 10:30 at night. It was quite a long evening process before it actually was dark in the sky.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a certain time of year or if that happens in England as well.
It happens more so in England. It happens.
Yeah, I thought so.
We spend a lot of time in Scotland as well. My best friend lives in Scotland, and we've been to a number of his children's weddings in the last few years. So we spend a lot of time in Scotland. In Scotland, during summer, it never really gets dark.
That's weird, isn't it?
Still at 10 to 11 o'clock at night,
Yes.
It's kind of twilight, and it stays twilight throughout the night almost.
That's odd, yeah.
And it gets light very early, which is kind of weird. But the flip side of that, and I've been to Edinburgh and the north of Scotland in the winter, of course,
Yes.
is that it's very dark.
Very
and it
early,
gets dark at 3:30, and it gets light at, actually it never really gets, it feels like it never really gets light till, 10:30, 11 o'clock in the morning. And even then it's kind of that grey, Scottish dour skies. It's a challenge, I guess.
Well, I think that's the offset, because in summer you've got the northern lights up there and the most beautiful colours that come through in those greens and pinks in that long twilight.
Yeah, if you're lucky enough to see it. I've seen it once many, many years ago in the north of Scotland, and it is quite extraordinary. But you've got to be, I guess, with climate change, maybe we're seeing it more and more. I don't know.
Yes, I'm not sure either. I saw it at a distance. I was in Spain south of Spain, and you could see the northern lights there. And I wasn't underneath it, but it was there in the sky like a sunset.
Yeah.
It was just gorgeous.
It is.
Listen, we were talking about Tuscany, and I'm aware you went to the Amalfi Coast in Cinque Terre. Cinque Terre.
Cinque Terre. Well, they are somewhat apart in the two different trips, but we were lucky enough to sail on the most beautiful boat from down the Amalfi Coast for 7 or 8 days, which was...
I'm going to get you to talk about that in your storytelling.
Right.
Right, so hold that thought. That thought. I believe that Cinque Terre is a bustling, busy place full of tourism. Is it a...
It is. It is bustling. I guess one of the joys of Cinque Terre, and we stayed in Monte Rosso, which right on the beach, literally right on the beach with this apartment. You could step off the balcony and you were on the beach.
Oh yes, please.
And it was amazingly reasonable price-wise. The great thing about Cinque Terre is the ability to walk from village to village.
Yes.
Across the hills. And then you can get the train back. It's got a train that you can go back to. So that is fantastic.
Well, you got the train? You've done
We
that?
did get the train. We did do the walks. The walks get very, very busy. And, you're passing. They're very steep. So they're quite hard work. So you certainly earn your cappuccino or your cold Peroni. But they are very steep, and they are very much stop-start, because you're always waiting for people, because they're quite narrow tracks. Yep. And as usual, when you travel overseas, you meet people, and the first people we bump into on the track when we step aside to let them pass are from DY, and we happen to know. Friends of friends, and there's 6 degrees of separation.
Love that.
So you can spot the Aussies.
Yes.
You can always spot the Americans, because usually they're not doing the tracks. But you can spot the Aussies from kind of a mile away, and you can spot the English, because they're usually pale and sunburnt and looking like a lobster. But Cinque Terre was fantastic. The food was great. The scenery is stunning, and the railway system. It kind of works.
It does. It's not a fast train. What are we talking
It's not
here?
a fast train. It's some of them are fast, but as is the case in Italy, they are prone to industrial action, more so probably than Sydney, which is maybe saying something, although the disruptions there are not quite so bad because you're not commuting. There are some fast trains between some of the towns, some of the biggest towns as well. Yeah. But generally they're a little slower, and you just have to take your time and enjoy the experience, talk to people on the platform, etc.
Yeah. And so Cinque Terre, which side of Italy is it on? East or west?
It's on the west coast.
On the west. So is the Amalfi Coast on the east, is it?
No, the Amalfi is just a bit further down.
Oh, just a bit further south.
So, it sort of goes Genoa and then down to Cinque Terre, and then further south is the Amalfi Coast.
The Amalfi Coast. Yeah. Look, I'm going to ask you, after this next track I'm going to play, just to talk about your yacht.
It's not my yacht. I wish it was.
Yes, no, but you'd have to pay for it and maintain it. So look, good at somebody else's, but the beautiful trip that you took on the 65-footer.
Yes.
And maybe you can tell us about Naples. Look, this next segment I really love, because it's storytelling time, and I did halt you when you were just about to give me the full story about your 65-foot yacht.
Yep.
But look, can you tell us about sailing on this luxury yacht?
It came about, I guess, we were talking about Scotland and my best mate Graham, and we were discussing where to go and where to meet up for a holiday, and I suggested that we go sailing off the Italian coast, and I found this beautiful, what I thought was a beautiful 50-foot boat.
Yeah, that's
beautiful.
a modest size,
boat.
Yeah.
There's only going to be the 4 of us. Modest-sized boat out of, I think it was Naples. And Graham said, well, you know what? We want a bigger boat, a much bigger boat. And I found this boat, and I looked at it and went, well, this boat's stunning. It looks like something out of a Ralph Lauren advert. It was all teak and twin-masted ketch from, beautiful, called Mia Placidus. And I said, well, Graham, to be honest, there's no way that we can afford this, because we were chartering it for the week and it was very expensive. And he said, don't worry. He's quite wealthy, by the way. He said, don't worry, I will pay whatever the difference is. And I thought, well, that's good. That's too good an opportunity to pass up. So we're there, mate. Not a problem. We're there. So we rocked up in Naples, and we did it through a strange kind of website. And at one stage, I did think it was a bit of a scam. We turned up at Naples Port, which is an interesting experience in itself, because we got the fast train from Rome to Naples, and then a taxi through Naples. Now, if you've never been to Naples, there is it is a very, how should I say it, cosmopolitan city.
Yes.
And some parts of it are almost third world, and you don't really want the taxi to stop in case you get hijacked or kidnapped or something.
Pickpocketed or anything else.
Yes, it's an interesting place to say the least. So we got to the port, and there was no one there to greet us, and we couldn't find the yacht and all this, and Graham and his wife were a little bit late, so I thought, oh, this is terrible, this is a scam. Anyway, it turned out to be absolutely fair dinkum stunning, and the boat was 65 foot, as I say, this beautiful ketch. We had a captain, Luca, and his girlfriend, who was also helping us, and Paolo, who was a cook, chef from Rome, to look after us. So we had 3 staff and 4 of us, and we sailed from Naples via Capri down to the Amalfi Coast, down to, it was just awesome.
Now that's the romance of Italy, isn't it?
It was just fantastic, I have to say. You know, we had lunch one day. We were just anchored off Rudolf Nureyev's private island, and it was just extraordinary. And it was an experience that we wouldn't ever be able to replicate on that scale with our budget. We could only do it with Graham. The sad thing was that we found out, well, actually, Graham and his wife didn't really like sailing.
Oh, you're kidding.
And they didn't really like, we gave them, obviously because they were paying the bulk of the trip, we let them have the master cabin, which was at the back of the boat. Yes. The stateroom, which had everything. It was beautiful. But unfortunately, that was where the mooring lines were, and they rubbed. So at night they made a noise.
Of course.
So they didn't like that. So the captain, Luca, had to lubricate the ropes to try and stop them from rubbing. And when we were on a mooring at night, or when we were anchored at night, the boat rocked, because that's what the sea does.
That is.
And again, that wasn't optimal for their experience. Yeah. We had a lovely time. We had the trip of a lifetime. I'm not sure they had the trip of a lifetime. But it was extraordinary. And coming back across the Bay of Naples, there was a thunderstorm. Paolo was cooking ragu, which he'd been cooking for 8 hours. And there was this thunder and lightning, and we were coming back across the Bay of Naples. It was beautiful. And Paolo got out his ukulele, and we were having a sing-song as we were coming across the bay, and his ragu, the smells were coming up from the cabin. Yeah. It was one of those life experiences that you look back and think, this is pretty good. Yeah. Doesn't get much better than this.
No, that's right. So that view from the porthole as you're going past, what's the landscape like? What are we looking at here as you're going down the coast?
It's rugged, cliffs, islands, and beautiful little Italian towns. It's... And Russian super yachts, of course. You mustn't forget Russian super yachts. We were going to one night. We asked Luca if we could moor or take a berth at the marina at Capri, and he said, "Yeah, that's fine, but you've got to pay for the marina berth." And I said, "Well, that's good. How much is it?" It was €850 for the night. I said, "No, we'll just anchor somewhere then." So we anchored offshore a little bit, and there was a Russian super yacht next to us, which we Googled, and it was the guy that basically owned all the grocery stores in Russia.
Oh, wow.
And the super yachts, they don't appear to have an anchor. Not even one. They tend to have little boosters. They have little...
Like an engine that turns on when to keep it in place.
Yeah,
is that what you're talking?
Little thrusters that basically that keep the ship, and they are ships, they're massive, in one place. Yes. So all the state cabins, they don't swivel around with the wind. They always face the island, so everyone gets the same view of the island if you're a guest there.
We're talking over 200-foot, 250-foot cruises, aren't you?
These are 90, 100 metres. These are massive. And yes, so there's one next to us, and there's, as a mate of mine said, there's always a bigger boat somewhere.
Of course there is.
And it's usually Russian. So, but it was an amazing experience, I have to say. And the landscape is beautiful. The towns themselves are stunning. And we were lucky that, a lot of the time, Luca we'd sail in the mornings, get somewhere, hop off. They'd take us into the to whatever town we were going to, and then we'd have lunch there, or coffee, or pastries, or whatever. Have a walk around, and then they'd pick us up again in the evening.
Yeah.
Either we'd have dinner on the boat, or which Paolo, obviously the chef from Rome, would put on this amazing spread, or we'd go back into town on the rubber ducky, and we'd have dinner in town. So it was one of those great experiences, and I guess we talked about. So I rambled on about coming across the Bay of Naples, but the end highlight as well was something special, because when we got back to Naples at the end of the trip, Luca, we became friends. They weren't just captain and
and crew.
Crew. We did become friends. We've seen them since, and I email them regularly. And Luca said, well, we're having dinner in Naples with my family, because I come from Naples.
Yep.
Would you like to come? Would you like to join us?
Yes.
So we said, oh, yes, please. That'd be lovely. So we went to this beautiful pizza restaurant, and pizza in Naples, I am a bit of a pizza snob, and it is unlike any pizza anywhere else in the world. I know everyone claims they do the best pizza, but it's not just about the eating, it's about the atmosphere, it's about where you are and the fact that you're at the birthplace, in theory,
of pizza.
Of pizza.
Yes.
So we had this amazing dinner with this massively extended family with Luca and Paolo and Alicia, his Luca's girlfriend, and we had his mum and dad, and none of them spoke much English. So we were playing, trying to communicate, but it was still
a lot of hand signals.
Luca and Paolo spoke very good English, and so did Alicia, but mum and dad and the rest of the family didn't.
No.
So at the end of dinner, which was magnificent, Luca said, well, look, we're going drinking. We're going to meet some friends, and we're going to go to a bar and have some drinks. Would you guys like to come? And Graham and I looked at each other and went, yes, please. That sounds fun. And the girls, unfortunately, said, well, it's 11 o'clock or whatever. We're a little bit tired after the trip. We'll head back to the yacht.
Yep.
You guys go on and have a drink. So Graham and I went off, and we were there till 3:30 in the morning with Luca and all his mates in this crowded alleyway in the back of Naples somewhere. People everywhere, drinks. It was just... it was an incredible experience, just being amongst that and being a native. And at the end of the night, it was getting kind of late, and we felt we were being a bit nasty to the girls, the fact that we were having such a good time and they were just fast asleep on the boat. So we thought, okay, well, we'll go back to the boat. And I said to Luca, we'll head off now, thanks, it's great. I said, we'll just go down here, don't we, and turn left, and we're on the front, and then we'll just walk along there. He said, no, I will take you.
Ooh.
I said, why? He said,
late night,
if you take the wrong turn down a dark alley in Naples, it does not end well.
Yes.
So Paolo actually escorted us to safety.
Well, that's good.
And safety was the all the bright lights of the port and the front, where it was relatively safe from the.
Yeah, look, it's great to get lost in the atmosphere, have a few drinks, but you cannot lose your awareness of where you are and safety, right?
To be honest, I had lost all awareness of anything.
Of course.
I was very happily unaware of safety concerns, pickpockets. I was just ensconced in this discussion about Italian politics, Italian art, with people that didn't speak brilliant English, and certainly my Italian is complete rubbish. So... it was just a wonderful experience, and my only regret is that my wife Jane wasn't there to enjoy it, because I know how much she would have enjoyed it.
So with the art, I mean, are you into Caravaggio? Are you into the architecture? What's your favourite thing?
I think it's just, it's immersive. Last year, we went to Florence and obviously saw David, as you do, which is extraordinary. It does take your breath away, and I know people see it on postcards, and there's a fake one out in the square that people look at, whatever. But just when they've set it up so beautifully that as you sort of come round the corner, it's just there, and it's massive.
Yes,
and it's bathed in the most brilliant light. And the art is, extraordinary. I'm no connoisseur, but the art really is extraordinary. Not just in Florence, obviously in Rome and elsewhere you go. And just the culture and just the simple things. I think we were walking one night along the river in Florence, and there was just a guy doing an impromptu classical concert in the most magnificent setting as the sun's going down. You just think this is.
Are we talking opera here? Or
there has, but we actually went to the opera. I promised my wife that we'd go to Verona to the
amphitheatre.
Yeah,
yes,
that we would. I actually gave it to her as a Christmas present that I bought tickets to the opera.
Brilliant.
And in Verona. Now, Verona, we were there for 2 or 3 days. You don't need 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
And, Romeo and Juliet apart. There's obviously Juliet's statue, which is somewhat odd, I have to say. It's it's a brass statue and everyone touches her breast. And you think, okay, we're still doing that, are we? It's 2023, 24, whenever it was we were there, and we're still touching her breast.
You can't account for people out there.
And it's not just the boys; it was the girls as well.
Wow.
But the opera in Verona was quite extraordinary.
Yeah.
We saw La Traviata, and it was.
Oh wow!
It was the costumes. The set, there must have been 200 people on stage at one point. It was just, and you're in this amazing amphitheatre. It is one of those experiences. You have dinner beforehand, you stroll in, you buy your cushion, and of course we bought our cushion because we couldn't find any in the apartment that we'd rented. When we got back, of course, we opened another cupboard that we didn't see, and there were about 35 cushions in there from previous occupants that had bought the same cushions that we bought. But yeah, no, that was another one of those extraordinary experiences, I have to say.
Yeah, that's right. Getting back to Naples, I did a bit of research myself about its culture and history, and it goes back to the Neolithic era, BCE.
It does.
Before the creation of everything. UNESCO World Heritage Site, third largest city in Italy. So
it is an amazing place. But what else is amazing as well is Pompeii.
Oh yes, so close to Pompeii.
It's so close to Pompeii, and you're in the shadow of Vesuvius.
Yes.
And we took a trip up to Vesuvius and walked up to the top. And you get to the top of Vesuvius, and there's little bits of smouldering smoke coming out of it.
It's still active.
It's still active. It's still bubbling away. And there's a bar up there, and a little gift shop, and it's like a very sort of put together bar. It's not a concrete thing. It's like a hut that serves limoncello and the odd Peroni and a couple of sandwiches. It's you've trekked all this way, and there it is.
You're hungry, you're thirsty,
and you're hungry, and then you go to Pompeii, which is just extraordinary.
Wow.
That is an extraordinary experience, and
wow.
It just to feel how it would have been in those times. Nowadays, because of what AI can do, some of the programs that you see on TV and the documentaries of what life would have been like in Pompeii or in those times, the recreations are just fantastic. But just being there and feeling part of that history is
it is
wonderful.
incredible. The families that they've found still preserved with the
and what I love was the menus in the brothels.
Oh,
that's fantastic because Pompeii was a seaport. A lot of sailors coming in, and sailors do what sailors must.
Yes.
And there were a lot of brothels in Pompeii, and because there were a lot of sailors from various different countries with a vast disparity of languages, they had menus in the brothels of pictures of what you could do. It's a bit like Macca's. You go to Macca's and you see your Big Mac and your cheeseburger. You could see the different things that you could do with your chosen one as a menu item.
As a menu item.
It's quite extraordinary, and you just think, wow,
There you go.
There you go.
There's romance at its fullest.
You don't see that on the postcards.
No, you certainly don't. You're listening to Radio Northern Beaches on 88.7 and 90.3. This is Caryn Shipp with Spin the Globe and my fabulous guest here, Henry Jennings, talking about his travels around Italy. We're called Romantic Italy by land and sea. So now I'm going to get some advice from you. For people who want to travel some of these beautiful places in Italy, where do you start? What would you advise?
Well, start anywhere, basically. Just go. The one thing that we have learned, I guess, from our travels is not to Google too much, not to do the TripAdvisor, where's the best restaurant to go in wherever. it's about the adventure, it's about the spontaneity, and some of the best meals we've had, some of the most memorable meals, have been terrible meals because they are so funny. They are so memorable because they're not that great, but they are memorable. But it's all about the atmosphere. I think it's all about discovery. We live in a world now where everyone's looking at their phones. Everyone's looking at, what's what's the best restaurant to go in Monte Rosso or wherever. It's nice just to see something and go, well, that looks nice. Old school.
Be adventurous.
Be adventurous and leave your phone in your pocket or leave your phone at home. It'll probably get nicked anyway in Rome. So be adventurous and don't plan too much. We one of the greatest lunches we ever had was with my brother. We were doing almost an Italian job. We both had Fiat 500s, and we were driving around Puglia, and we ended up in this town, and we saw this little restaurant. It was an Italian job. It was ridiculous. I mean, there should have been minis, but they were. I had an Arbath, which was really ridiculous, and my brother only had a Fiat 500.
What's the Arbath? Sorry.
Well, it's like a Ferrari version of a Fiat 500.
Oh, I love it.
It's seriously stupid. It's got so much power. It wiggles when you put your foot down. It was a seriously silly car, but a lot of fun. And just driving round and round and eventually finding this restaurant overlooking this beautiful town. I can't even remember the name of the town. It was, it was a very obscure town. And we had the most stunning lunch. And then we said to the guy afterwards, that was, stunning. We want to stay in this town now. Where do we stay? He said, there's a little hotel just down there. You just walk down these steps into this hotel. And it turns out this hotel overlooked the beach, was beautiful, and there were pictures of a young Nicole Kidman when she stayed in the same hotel. So we thought, we're in pretty good company here. And we had this amazing lunch and this amazing time. And it was just complete spontaneity, the fact that we'd driven round and round this one-way system in this little Italian town. Those are the kind of things that you remember rather than, I went to the top 3 TripAdvisor ones in Monte Rosso or in Rome or in Amalfi or wherever.
Yes.
It's that spontaneity, I think. Italy is all about chaos and spontaneity and the enjoyment of life.
Yes.
And I think that's really important.
Well, beautifully said, enjoyment of life. Would you recommend anywhere in particular that you went, Tuscany, Amalfi Coast, or? We
went actually. Well, the Amalfi Coast is beautiful. Tuscany is beautiful. Obviously, Cinque Terre is beautiful. But what we really liked and what we want to do more of is we went to the Dolomites last year.
Skiing. I'm a good skier. So,
well, it wasn't skiing. This was during summer, and we did some walking, some hiking in the Dolomites. I'd love to go and do the Sella Ronda around the Dolomites. That would be stunning. My wife's not a big skier, so that kind of.
So summertime is in.
Summertime was good, and I had the best cup of tea I have ever had in this little mountain hut. It was starting to drizzle. It was in the middle of nowhere, and we stopped. We'd been walking for about 8 or 9 hours or whatever, and you couldn't get to this hut by road, or you had to mountain bike the stuff in. Had this best cup of tea that I think I've ever had, with a piece of carrot cake looking out across this beautiful vista, slight drizzle of rain, and it was just magic. Absolute magic. And, again, it's one of those experiences that you don't expect necessarily, but you have to be grateful that you've been privileged enough to be in that particular spot at that particular time with someone you love and in a place that is magical. And
beautifully surprised, because
that's what life is about.
Yes, it has the reputation, so you just got to trust yourself, trust the country you're in.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. Look, that is fantastic. Henry, what an amazing picture you've painted of Italy. I want to go back tomorrow.
Tea.
Oh, yes, even a cup of tea sounded inviting.
That's the English in me.
Even wine, I believe Italian wine isn't too bad.
It's okay.
Yes.
It's okay. We don't mind a bit of Italian wine and a bit of a Peroni every now and then and a little bit of Aperol. So, I remember going to Italy the first time. We'd never seen Aperol Spritz. Didn't really seem to be a thing here.
Oh, it is now.
It is now. They've done a stunning stunning job in marketing that. But yeah, having an Aperol spritz. And the great thing about Aperol in Italy is you pretty much have dinner with it for free. You know, all the nibbles and stuff they bring out in some of the cafes is included in your price. Happy hour, you know, your $8 Aperol, €8 Aperol or whatever it is, is pretty good because you got your nibbles, a bit of cheese, maybe some prosciutto. And there we are sitting in a square in Capri, watching the world go by, and it just doesn't get much better than that sometimes.
Well, that's Italy on a platter, isn't it?
It is.
It is beautifully spoken. I am going to ask you about the band you're in. You're a lead singer of a band, the current one. Tell me about it more.
The band is called The All Sorts, and we play sometimes, not particularly often, unfortunately, on the Northern Beaches, and it's a band from my youth in terms of the music, because we play things like The Clash, The Jam, Elvis Costello, The Cure, those sorts of songs, a bit of ska, a bit of punk. So, you know, it's the two guys that are on guitar are from Mona Vale Music, Gavin and Jason, and my friends Anthony and Emma, who are married. They're a married couple. Anthony's a great drummer from Northern Ireland, and Emma is a fantastic bass player, and we do have a lot of fun. But it'd be nice to get more gigs. So if you're out there and you want a nice sort of upbeat band,
what's it called?
The All Sorts.
The All Sorts. Yeah. So look out for The All Sorts, and you can book them or go and see the guys at Mona Vale Music by the sounds of it.
Yeah, Gavin or Jason.
Jason. Yeah, good on you. Look, thank you so much for spending the time this morning to talk about your trip, because it was just so rich and colourful. It was fantastic.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much, Henry. Look, I'm going to finish up today. It's International Women's Day. So it's a shout out to all the women out there that are doing their best, that are kicking goals, and, So thank you for listening today. Thank you, Henry Jennings. Bye, everyone.
Australia, the lucky country. We've got meat pies. We've got the world's best beer. But most importantly, top of the list, we've got Radio Northern Beaches 88.7, 90.3. Now hitting the entire world on www.rmb.org.au.